Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. And so in today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys, tell you guys why I really like Google Fi, and to kind of just name off like the benefits, some of the caveats, and also some tips and tricks that you possibly didn't know you could do with Google Fi. And I'm gonna let you guys in on a secret. So a little backstory first. What is Google Fi? Google Fi is basically Google's phone service. Google wanted to get into the game of being a mobile service provider, besides building Android software and now building, Pixels, which is the hardware. They wanted to provide cell phone service. So they did a deal, contracts basically with T-Mobile, Sprint, and US Cellular, 3 carriers in the US that allows their customers to connect with. Now, with that, obviously you need a Fi capable device, like a Pixel phone. And yeah, you can smart switch in between either of the networks depending on which one has the best coverage. And so that was one of the major selling points of Google Fi. And also their flexible plan was another big selling point, as it allowed you to control your bill. So basically the flexible plan basically goes, it's $20 for unlimited talk and text and then $10 per gigabyte. But there were people who wanted to use a lot of data, and so Google decided to come up with what they thought was a hybrid called bill protection, which basically meant that you can use, you'll be billed for the first 6 gigabytes that you use. After you've used 6 gigabytes, any data used after that, they won't bill you that $10 per gig rate. However, there was a 15 gigabyte throttle cutoff point, so not cutoff, but throttle point, where they would slow you down to 256 kilobits per second. But if you wanted more high-speed data, then again, you would pay $10 per gig after the 15 gigabytes used. So basically, a lot of people weren't too happy with that idea, or maybe they just didn't understand, how it worked. So then they wanted unlimited, and so Google Fi gave an unlimited plan, sort of, but kind of. And it's what it's called. It's called their unlimited plan. It's basically unlimited talk, text, and data. However, the reason why I say it's almost unlimited is because they have a throttle point, which is 22 gigs of data used. You use 22 gigs of data, you are slowed down to 256 kilobits per second. And in this day and age where we're on the dawn of 5G, LTE's out there are multiple bands of LTE, and the potential of being aggregated to using 3 or 4 bands all at once to gain high speed, depending on your device, if it supports that. I don't really think we should be at this point where we're throttling people at 22 gigabytes. But I have a thought of why it's like that, and I'll tell you why later on. So those are the plans. And yeah, so one of the negative points of Google Fi is their device selection. Hear me out before people start saying, well, they allow any phone on there. Yes, they do. You can use just about any phone on Google Fi, but there are only certain phones that are Fi capable. Pixel devices are obviously Fi capable. And there are some from LG and from Motorola that are Fi capable. Fi capable devices are devices that can smart switch in between the 3 networks. Now, if you have like an iPhone or say like a Samsung Galaxy device, those devices can be used on Google Fi, but they will only connect to the T-Mobile network. So they won't have the smart switch capability. And that has nothing to do with Google Fi per se. It has everything to do with the manufacturer, as Samsung, Apple, LG, they build devices, and some of the devices that they build are only compatible with certain carriers. Like some devices can only go on T-Mobile and AT&T's network because of the type of network and the type of LTE bands they have. Other devices are able to go on Sprint. Not so much, it has something to do with CDMA and GSM, but not fully anymore, as we are really out of the gates when it comes to CDMA and GSM. Both technologies are going to just disappear, as it's going to be straight LTE and 5G, and we're already making steps and moving into that. But again, the Fi switch capabilities is just based on the manufacturer and how they built the device. If it can support Sprint's network and T-Mobile's network and US Cellular's network, then it can be, have that Fi switch capability. So the ones that are sold on Google Fi's website, which is not a lot. So people look at that and they kind of frown because there's not a lot of devices or handsets to pick from. A benefit to being on Google Fi, especially if you're a business person who travels, you definitely want to take a look at Google Fi, see what it can do for you, as Google Fi works in 170 plus countries. So literally not having to make some sort of contract with another carrier, say like in France or in England or Spain, it automatically works. All you do is when you land at the country that you're going to visit, you just put your phone in airplane mode, wait 10 seconds, and then turn off airplane mode, and it's going to connect. You'll see LTE at the top, you'll see bars connection, and you get to keep the same phone number, so you don't have to get like a whole different phone number out of country area code or anything like that. Your phone will work. So that's pretty dang awesome. On top of that, with the new $70 unlimited plan that Google Fi has, you get access to also Google One, which is Google service based on cloud storage and other benefits being offered through it. And yeah, when you have that, you can actually create like a family connection with Google accounts, and each member on your Google account will get the 100 gigabytes of cloud storage. Also, if you're on the unlimited plan, I believe there's in the 170 plus countries that you could use your phone in, you can also call those countries from here in the US as an international call, and they don't bill international rates. So that's a big plus, because I have family in Thailand, and so I love being able to call them and not have to worry about having a big bill or adding, an international plan to my Google Fi account. So that's big ups with Google Fi. Now, when it comes to it, like the flexibility and the unlimited, that's a great touch, and I'm glad that they came out with that, because those that are data heavy users can opt for the unlimited plan, which is billed like a prepaid, whereas the flexible plan is billed like a postpaid account, because you pay $20 for unlimited talk and text, but then the data that you used, it's billed to you after your bill cycle closes. So it allows you to control your bill. If you want, say like money's tight, so for the month you can only afford a $30 cell phone bill, you can control it where you connect mostly to Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi hotspots, and you can keep your data usage under 1 gig and have yourself a $30 bill. Caveat to that is that they don't participate with other MVNO companies as far as including taxes and fees within the charge. So if you are paying $70 for unlimited, you're actually going to be paying $70 plus whatever your state tax percentage is on sales tax. You'll be paying that on top. So that's something that people will frown upon, as they don't have the flat rate charges. Besides all that great goodness, let me tell you guys why I think that Google Fi has the 22 gigabyte throttle point, which obviously sucks. But if you guys don't know, if you didn't read up on Google Fi when it was known as Project Fi, Google announced they were doing Project Fi, and it was invite only at the time, right? So you had to be invited to be able to try service. Now, one of the things that they said that Google had made an agreement with T-Mobile, Sprint at the time, because it was only those two, US Cellular wasn't in the mix until months later. Google had said they weren't going to be competitive against T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, and Sprint, or their MVNOs. So basically, a 22 gigabyte obviously is a turnoff for a lot of consumers, but they're only following to what they said that they would do in order to have access to these 3 different networks, that they weren't going to be very competitive against them. They were going to provide phone service to people who wanted Google Fi or wanted to have phone service by Google, but they were going to make sure that they weren't contending in a neck and neck race with the 4 major carriers. And that's why I think that it's a 22 gigabyte throttle on the unlimited and 15 gigabytes on the flexible plan, is because most people just want unlimited data. And if Google had no throttle point, honestly, they would really give other carriers a run for their money. Because, I mean, who wouldn't want to be able to have access to three different networks, so you're always covered? To have that capability to do that and to have unlimited, no throttle data? So that's why I think that there's a 22 gigabyte throttle. It's not that Google wants to do it, it's that they made an agreement to not be competitive in order to have access to these carriers. Now, what happens to Google Fi with the Sprint merger? Well, I can say that it's going to drop down to just having access to 2, US Cellular or T-Mobile. And who knows, maybe they will do a deal with Verizon to become the 3rd person, and you'll be able to smart switch between Verizon, T-Mobile, and US Cellular. But again, that's a lot of things that they would have to do to make phones compatible with. You gotta look at LTE bands and things like that. So who knows? They could even pull AT&T into the mix and B, where they can connect to AT&T, T-Mobile, and US Cellular. Who knows what the future holds, but if they don't, it'll just definitely be just US Cellular and T-Mobile that they use going forward after Sprint is gone. Now, tips and tricks for those people out there, as this video is kind of running pretty long. So the tips and tricks basically is how to have multiple lines with only paying for 1 or 2 lines. You can literally have your own family plan. I have one, and let me tell you guys how I do mine. So I have my Google Fi account. I have my phone number with Google Fi, and my 2 teen sons don't make phone calls very often. All they really do is get on Instagram. So because all they use is data, I have 2 data-only SIM cards, which is a benefit of being on Google Fi. You can get multiple data-only SIM cards, and the data that is used off that SIM card is billed as if it's being used off your main line from Google Fi. So I can basically, what I have right now, I have 3 lines. Technically 1 main line, which is mine, and then my sons have the other 2 data-only SIM cards. And so they're using data. They're able to make phone calls using Instagram and whatnot to me, or they use Hangouts. And yeah, I am only paying for just 1 line. And so yeah, you can create yourself a family plan without having to actually add on full lines. Now, if there's someone in your family that absolutely needs like a mobile phone line on top of having data connection with their smartphone, then you can add a line. And I think it's like what, like $30 for each different line added on. So yeah, you can go that route, or you can save yourself some money and just get data only SIM cards. And if your kids have like tablets that are LTE compatible, you just slip the SIM card in there. Now, data only SIM cards only connect to T-Mobile's network. They do not connect to Sprint's network. They do not smart switch. So that's something that they will not have access to. But being able to connect to data connection and just having 1 line account, I mean, yeah, you're saving quite a bit of money. And I'm sure Google Fi knows about this. So obviously it's not something that they're too concerned about. Otherwise they would have cut it by now. Yeah, so the future of Google Fi, no one knows, but I know they're going to stick around for a while. And I recommend their service. I really do. I think the service is great. I think the configurations you could do, being quirky with the plans itself, you know, all those things come into play, and it just makes me look at Google Fi and say, yeah, I made a pretty damn good decision. So that's my thoughts on Google Fi, my experience with them, my tips and tricks, some good things and bad things about them. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section of the video. Drop a like if you enjoyed today's video. And if you just found my channel and subscribed, I thank you so much for doing so. And hit the bell icon to be notified when I upload another video. Now I'm gonna go hang back with my kids and watch some more movies on Disney Plus. Pretty awesome. I'm glad I got it. Hopefully you guys got your subscription or even did the free trial to see how it is. It's actually pretty dope. I'm gonna do a talk about Disney Plus later on down the road. But I gotta go. You guys take care of yourself. And as always, aloha.